What's up, goodies? Welcome back to your girl channel and to my kitchen how to cook. And honey, your girl is about to turn up the kitchen a notch right in my comfort zone. I'm going to show you how I make the most tastiest shrimp stew, peas and rice in your kitchen you could ever have. What? Fast, easy and simple. Now if you are here watching me cooking for your first time, make sure you subscribe and then turn on your post notification settings so you will always be reminded whenever your girl upload what? A brand new video. You ready for the recipe? Make you get started then now.
Want to be independent, yet she can't read and write a sentence.
Okay, goodies, you ready for cook? Well, let's cook. Now, to get started, I'm going to walk you through everything we're going to need for the recipe. Now, you're going to need 1 cup of dried red kidney beans, alright? You could always substitute the red kidney beans if you don't want to use that. Use whatever it is that you like, but that's the route I'm going. Now, you're going to need pimento seeds. I'm using pimento seeds, but if you don't want to go pimento seeds or pimento berry, use a ground spice. It'll work just fine. You also need salt and garlic for the recipe, 1 medium-sized onion, and definitely some ginger. I'm using fresh ginger here. You could also substitute for powdered ginger, and I'm using my chicken cube here for the recipe to give it flavor as we start cooking. Flavor in this thing right here, but you can substitute for whatever kind of seasoning that you have if you don't have that. Now, to get started, the first thing you want to do is wash your peas, y'all. You don't want to cook this thing without you getting that peas all washed up, because sometimes there's stones in the bag and sometimes there's some bad beans in there. You want to get rid of those. So I always go in with some cold water and just pick out them little unseen things there. We don't want that in there. Just get rid of all them little things and give it a really, really good wash. Now, note, if you're cooking this for the very first time, peas this way for the very first time, you could always soak your peas overnight. Mama always soak her peas overnight, but right now I'm not gonna do that. You can soak the peas overnight in about, let's say, about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water, depending on how much peas you're planning to cook. I'm using 1 cup, so if I was going to soak this peas overnight, I would use 1.5 cups of water to soak it, right? And it is going to double or triple in size when you do that, and of course it's going to cook faster. But this is the route that we are going. The process is going to take a little longer, but I still like to do it this way sometimes, right? But anyway, that is my peas that has been nicely washed, and I'm showing you here. If I was going to soak it, I would definitely add about 1.5 cups of water to 1.5 cups of water to it, but I'm not going that route today. Okay, so I'm just going to throw that water off. I'm going to move on to old school way. Now, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and add that peas into about 3.5 cups of water on the stove top. Now we are going to allow this peas to cook nice and tender. Please note, if you're going to do it this way that I'm doing, your peas might cook faster than mine, all right, or maybe take longer. Either way, but just cook it nice and tender. Make sure that you add your garlic, fresh garlic to it, and some salt to get the recipe started. Also, you want to go in and add your pimento berries and the ginger in, and if you don't have the pimento berries, just add that allspice, ground spice. Now go in and put the onions in. You want to do that because we are talking what? Flavor, right? So, and put that chicken cube into the water, and that is all we are going to do right here. I'm going to go ahead and just cover it up and put my fire pan, I'll say medium to high heat, because we want it to cook really, really fast. Put it on medium to high heat, cover it up, and allow it to cook nice and tender. Now while that is cooking, we're going to season up our shrimp, because the shrimp have a flavor. So how I'm going to season it up, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of salt, not too much. Put the salt in, and I'm doing it with one hand, guys, so my camera is all over the place. And so I'm going to add just a tad bit of the black pepper to it as well. right? Add some flavor on that shrimp. And then after we put the salt and pepper, we are going to go in and add our garlic powder. Right? I'm not measuring anything here, y'all, but I'm gonna put everything down below that I'm using for the recipe, all the amounts and everything that you'll need. So I got you right there. Don't worry, no panic. Now you want to go in and add your onion powder to the mix as well, like so, because we really need to season up these shrimp really good because it is going into the stew. So you want to make sure that it's seasoned thoroughly. Now I am going to use the seafood seasoning, and this brand right here is a Red Lobster. You could use any other seafood seasoning that you have at hand. And if you don't have seafood seasoning, use all-purpose seasoning, whatever it is that suits you in your kitchen. Because remember, it is your kitchen, okay? Now, I did go in with some paprika because I wanted to give it some color. We don't want to put white shrimp into the stew. Give it some color, but do not add browning pan it. We don't need browning pan the shrimp. Don't do it. No. Add some paprika. You could add cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, whatever. Just give it some color. And I'm going to add this Goya seasoning. It is salt free. So I'm going to go in and add that, and you can substitute that out for a different kind of a season that you have in your kitchen. Okay? Make a note of that. Alright. That looks pretty seasoned, right? But no, we are going to add the vinegar because I love vinegar on everything. So I added about 2 teaspoons of vinegar there. Apple cider vinegar, if you don't have that, use whatever vinegar that you have as well. Give it a nice little rub and a nice little spin and make sure that it's seasoned well. But I did notice that it wasn't the color that I really wanted, because remember, when you're making this recipe, you want to make sure that that shrimp have a nice color to it. Nice little color, because once you put it into the stew, it's going to change its color. You don't want it to be white. You want it to have a nice little color to balance out the color of the peas. So I did go in and add just a little bit more of the paprika. But I am going to list everything that I use once again, like I said before, so that way you get the thing right the first time. You can never cook shrimp stew, peas and rice. This is it right here. You're gonna love it. It's so good. Now that looks really seasoned. You can see where that season is just soaking all up on that shrimp. That is perfect. That's exactly how I want my shrimp to be. Well seasoned, right? Yes. And make sure to wash your shrimp nice and clean with vinegar before you season it. And give it a nice good wash and clean it, devein it, and make sure your shrimp is nice and clean before you cook it. Okay? And do not cook them shrimp that in the shell. Take it off. Make sure your shrimp is nice and clean before you put seasoning on it. Now, what I did though, after I got done seasoning my shrimp, I went ahead and wrapped it up in a plastic wrap and just allowed it to sit for however long my peas was going to take. Now, I would say right here about an hour in, my peas was like, I would say probably about 75% cooked, not all the way through, but it was still pretty tender, but not all the way through. That's perfect. So right here is where you want to go in and add your coconut cream to the mix. You want to add a coconut cream right here, and I'm only using 1 cup of coconut cream. Okay. Already I could smell the flavor from the ginger, the onion, and the garlic combination, and it smells so good. After I put that coconut in there, that coconut milk, honey, the thing was off the chain, smelling up the whole house. But all I'm going to do here is just go ahead and cover it up and let it mellow out and go and combine all the flavors together. Now here I have some green seasoning, and that is just celery, bell pepper, and onion. That's all there, that's it. That is 1 scotch bonnet pepper and some organic bell peppers. Thyme for sure, because thyme waits on no one, and 2 stalks of scallion. In here I have 1 cup of flour and a half teaspoon of salt. That's it. Now, moving right along, this thing is going perfect, just the way that I want it to be. However, This is your 1 cup of flour, and you have teaspoon of salt, and we are going to make some spinners right here. You don't want to put big round circle dumplings in it. No, we're not making dumplings, we are making spinners. Difference when you're making stew, okay? Perfect, that is perfect. Nice and soft and nice and shaken to the touch. Now that this is all combined, it is ready to be seasoned. Before you put the spinners in, go ahead and add the scallion in and thyme combination. We want this thing to have flavor. Flavor, honey. If you ever smell, oh, the thing smells so good. Now, after you put your scallion in the thyme, you want to go in and add your bell pepper, any color of your choice, and your hot scotch bonnet pepper to the mix, just like so. Then you add your green seasoning, and know that your green seasoning is optional. So if you don't have the green seasoning at hand, you can skip that part. I just added because I had some green seasoning left over from a recipe I did prior, so I went ahead and added in there just to give me a little kick and a little bit more extra added flavor. Now give it a good mix right here, honey. The thing smells so good. It come like soup, like peas. I thought soup, but honey, the thing smells so good. But yes, we want to make sure this liquid combines really, really well. But before you worry about that step, go ahead and put in your spinners in. I'm going to show you a little trick that I do sometimes when I want to move the process even faster, because when I'm in my kitchen, I always like to do things fast, easy, and simple. I always try to figure out how to cook fast, easy, and simple with good flavored food, okay? So this is what I do. In the palm of my hand, I pinch off 2 of the dumpling, 2 of the flour dough, right? And then instead of going back and forth, I always put 2 pieces in my hand. I'm going to show you exactly what I do here. Go ahead and break it off in 2, put 1 in one hand, 1 in the other, right? Then close my knuckle, use the back of my hand right here and just rub it, drop it into the pot, and just move on to the next one. Instead of me going back and forth, sometimes I do 3, but to make a sure now overdo it, me I do only 2 at a time, but I do 3 at a time. Like right here, I'm doing 3. Okay, so that's one of the little things that I do when I want to cook fast. Like this process, it does take time, especially if you're going to make a big super pot. You don't want to be doing this all day. Okay, now, so once you put the spinners in, you want to go ahead and give this some more added flavor, because remember you're making shrimp stew peas and rice, so you want it to have flavor. So now go in and add some black pepper, and I'm using my unsalted seasoning right here. Use whatever that you want to use in your kitchen. Added some powdered garlic to it, and I added some onion powder as well as a combination. You never cook without either or. And some paprika to give it more color while I have my shrimp hang out and I get ready for coming at this thing soon. Give it some more color, honey. So I did go in and just dash all that paprika in there. Give it a really, really good mix right here. And then you want to go in and cover it up and allow everything to combine and simmer and soak up all its flavor, okay? You want to make sure you do that. Just go ahead and cover it up. Now, after about a good 30 minutes extra, right? This is what it's going to look like. It is going to come together and it's flavorful and everything in between. Now, because I did not add any like potatoes and all that other stuff in there, the liquid is still going to be a little bit runny. What you want to do is go in and add some cornstarch and a little bit of water and just go in and pour it over your stew. You want to do this because remember you didn't add any meat into the mixture, so it's not going to thicken up the way that you want it to thicken up, because you are cooking shrimp. There's a trick to this recipe, because if you don't follow this step, you're definitely going to have rubbery shrimp. We don't want to have rubbery shrimp. So make sure that your liquid right here, your stew is what I'm saying, has the perfect consistency. Okay? So go back after you add the cornstarch and cover it up and give it another 10 minutes. 10 minutes after you come back, it is going to form. Now you want to go in and get your well seasoned shrimp, perfectly seasoned shrimp, into the stew. The only time. Now remember, now that you put the shrimp in, immediately after you put that shrimp in, you want to turn that fire down to, I'll say, medium to low heat, right? Into the first 3 minutes of cooking, just go ahead and turn it down. After that 3 minutes of stirring, you're going to shut that heat off altogether and continue to stir, because if you don't, the shrimp is going to be unbalanced, because remember, shrimp cooks in 6 minutes and you're making a stew here. So if you keep on bubbling for any additional time over that 6 minutes, the shrimp is going to get rubbery. So 3 minutes in, you shut the heat off. Continue to stir for the additional 3 minutes until the shrimp is cooked. That heat, it is going to finish to cook that shrimp for that additional 3 minutes. 6 minutes total, your shrimp is all done, and this is what you're going to have: the most perfect shrimp stew, peas and rice you can ever have in your kitchen. What? Fast, easy and simple, and filled with nothing but Jamaican flavors. Honey, you are going to love and you're going to embrace this shrimp stew, peas and rice on your table in no time. Goodie, if you never had shrimp, stew, peas and rice in your kitchen, well, what you wait for? You have to try this recipe. You will never forget the flavor that's coming from each and every bite. The thing is off the chart good. So nice, so rich, so everything. Man, this thing was saying my name. The shrimp was still nice and tender, because remember, you don't want to overcook this thing. So tender. So let me tell you right now, go ahead, share the recipe with friends and family. Tell them what's going on over here. Bring them, come and send them, come. I'm waiting. After you done do that, tell me where you want to see me cook next in my kitchen. And remember, as always, from my kitchen to your kitchen, enjoy.